What up, Bob?
Terrifying. Let's see if we get this bad boy rolling. Now then, theoretically, by the magic of cinema, we should be out there. Let's have a look. In a minute, I'll be able to access.
Hey, can you hear me, Neil?
Anybody? I can, buddy.
I hear you, Bob.
And hopefully everybody else can hear as well.
I just want you to know, Neil, that because of you being such a pain in my goddamn ass, I bought a new phone.
Yes.
Yeah, boy.
It won't heat up.
Let me fix this light.
Sort that out, Bob. We've got to see you in your very best light, son. And I'm just going to check in, get around the advert in a second. It's finished a hard day's work, pretty much bang on the nose, switched on the computer, and off we go. And hopefully people can see us. Let's see the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in the chat of the Supernatural Strength channel, live old school, let us know that you can see us. If you do, Cobra may even go topless.
No,
Nice.
Don't do that.
Come on, Bob.
Look who we got.
What up, Cobra?
I'll tell you what,
Hey, brother.
you scared everybody there, Robert Brown.
Again.
You
2
did.
weeks in a row, Bob.
We thought you weren't coming on, mate. We thought you were missing in action.
Dude, I'm serious. I wasn't kidding when my phone only said it was I was waiting until exactly 10 o'clock. I apologize.
1 minute. So you don't read that. You don't read me messages. You see? So make sure you don't leave it less than 10 minutes so we can check for any audio stuff and gremlin. Become professional, mate. Become professional.
Honestly, I didn't even look at the email until about 2 minutes ago. Sorry.
No, you're all right, mate. No problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I've just seen, oh my God, Cobra and a love hearts from Boney M in the chat. So, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Arm Wrestling Old School. Neil, pick up the fat lab with you in the mother fluffing house. And let me introduce who I've got on the show today. It's the Old School. So the backbone of the Old School is none other than Eric Roussin of Canadian fame. This guy is the encyclopedia of world arm wrestling, ladies and gents. TheArmWrestlingArchive.com is where you can find all the stuff that we talk about on tonight's show. Get yourself over there. Eric's put it together, and it's got it all there. It's all there, ladies and gents. I'm also joined by our resident co-host, Mr. Bob Brown. Bob Brown, one of the only arm wrestlers that actually featured in the Bible, and yet he's still rolling today. This mother fluffer laid the table at the Last Supper. And while we're talking about old bastards, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about the guy I'm going to introduce you now. For any hardcore arm wrestler, you will know who this is, but I think it was either Athens, Greece, or Tel Aviv, Israel, back when I was a young and just starting the sport of arm wrestling. I distinctly remember sitting and kneeling at the side of the table and watching a guy absolutely decimate all before him. And he was the first ever truly international superstar of the sport of arm wrestling. And his name is Andrew Cobra Rhodes. And he's here with us today, ladies and gents.
Bob Brown, Mr. Roussin. What up, Neil?
Mate, it's great to have you on the show. And I'll tell
Good
you
to be on here with you guys, man. All this knowledge. Maybe I'm going to learn something.
This is how it goes, mate. Eric said, well, we're going to be talking about the WAF, and we're going to be talking about the time period around 2000. And someone was running warm at that time. You were pretty much informed, weren't you, mate, around and about then?
I chalked up a few times back in 99, 2000. That's all right before the rain.
Yeah.
So we figured that might appeal to you, and you'd have some questions, and also you're a good guy to bounce stuff off in this occasion. So, yeah, welcome to the show, Cobra. It's absolutely great to have you on here. We'll probably take a few twists and turns. We're like 1 week out from potentially a game-changing match for the sport of arm wrestling. Obviously, the Arm Wrestling Archive has got an enormous amount of information about cornerstone moments in the sport, milestones in the sport, times and events that changed and helped to form the sport. And you do get the feeling, lads, that we might be heading into one.
Absolutely.
Yes. But, honestly, in my opinion, I think we're absolutely heading into a change in the sport, but it might not be about the two guys arm wrestling so much as it is how we're all going to see it. this, and then this arm bet thing that is allowing competitors to back and stake their competitors, which is, essentially betting, could revolutionize super matches. I mean, that, in my opinion, is the bigger part of this match. Honestly, that's, now with that being said, I did log on and back an arm wrestler, and I do have some wagers on the side with one of the arm wrestlers betting against him.
Imagine how that happened, Bob.
Wow. Put your money where your mouth is. Huh?
Yes. And for those who want to know, yes, I bet on Michael Todd, and I made that bet with Devin Larat and Devin Larat's boy, John Milne. And so go Monster.
I suppose we better get this out of the system before we kick off, lads, and just go around and see what kind of opinion we've got here before we start. And we're going to start with we know obviously Bob's gone for Mike. We're going to start with Bob's sort of insight on particularly why, mate. How have you got this, and why? Why do you think it's going to be a walkover for Mike? Do you think it's going to be an absolute screamer? How have you got it?
I think at the end of the day, this match is going to come down to endurance. Okay. The way Michael has trained his whole life is endurance based. I don't necessarily agree with the way he trains for peak power. However, he has incredible endurance in his hand, in his wrist, in his arm, because of the way he trains. Now, Devin Larat is known for his endurance too, but I've spoken with Devin the last time he arm wrestled him, and he said his problem was he put on too much weight and didn't have any endurance for the match. So I fully expected him to lean up and work on his endurance, but judging by the size of Devin, he went the other route again. He's probably a stronger version than he was before, but this match is going to stop. It's going to come down to endurance, and I think Michael Todd wins the endurance match.
Interesting insight. Eric Roussin, who have you got, mate, and why?
I mean, I've known Devin for 20 years, trained with him many times over the years, so he's my sentimental favorite. But beyond that, I just feel that what he's been doing for the past years, or past, I guess, several months, really just focusing on this match, and I think he's approached it slightly different than some of the other matches he's done in the past few years. I just feel he's ready. Like, he hasn't had a real arm wrestling match in quite a while, and I think that garage pull that they did last year, although it was not official by any means, I think he probably learned something from that match, and I think it will affect how I think he gave him confidence. No matter how Michael may have been dissuaded from training earlier in the day, I think he learned something. And I just feel his confidence is very, very high. And when he's confident, I feel that man can do anything.
There are no limits.
Yeah.
Somebody write that down.
Good play on words there. Yeah. Neil, yeah. Always working. The guy's a genius.
Cobra Rhodes, you've been around this game for as long as anyone, mate. You've seen a lot of arm wrestling matches. You've seen a lot of yap and chat before the thing goes down. It's almost show time. Are you convinced in either direction? How do you see it?
I'm not. I have a bunch of scenarios in my head. If this happens, if that happens. Health of the athlete's arm. With Michael's positioning, I'm wondering if early on, if Devin can be as violent as possible. And it's going to go one or two ways. Michael's going to be strong enough to stick him, and Devin's going to bleed. Or if Devin can find a crack and really do some damage to one of Michael's sweet spots, I think he has the wherewithal to pull it off. But Michael Todd never goes away. I've pulled him several times. It sucks. He never goes away. Even when he was a lighter weight guy, he didn't go away. He stayed there all day. So
yeah, he is something of a wanker like that.
Yeah. So like me, I wasn't in those positions. I mean, I hated to lose more than I liked to win. But Michael Todd it's different. It's really different. There aren't many guys like him.
It's funny, isn't it, that we're talking like this? I mean, ordinarily, right? If you look at all Mike's matches, he's always that guy that's going, if I can just stop the match, if I can just make this thing stop, then it's on. Then it's all about me. And this is quite weird for me because this is potentially the only guy out there where that rule doesn't necessarily apply. We're all here thinking, but if Devon can stop it, if there's an opportunity to hold center and climb, then he has the wherewithal, the knowledge, the experience of Mike to do something with all that heart, all that endurance could count for less and less as the match goes on, because Devon's got the physical tools to be able to work himself into an unassailable position.
But Wizard, listen, the one thing about that, I believe, is Devon has to do it early. This is something he's not going to figure out and start in the 4th round. This is something that has to happen early, I think, if he's to have success.
I agree.
Right.
I think that first round
doesn't have success early. I don't think it's going to be a good day for him.
Yeah, that first round is absolutely pivotal.
Yes,
it's pivotal. You know?
If it's not at least 1-1 after 2 rounds, I think Devon's in a lot of trouble.
I agree. I definitely agree.
I'll tell you what, this might be the biggest example ever of, Devon always that test your frame, and Mike's, I'll do anything to win. God damn, we might find out who means it.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna. The truth will be told, Neil, just like the straps,
We are going to find out. I'm just going to knock over a couple of super chats, and I want to tell you a little story, you guys, right? Before we get into the show proper, because it's rare, right, that you genuinely are touched by something that somebody sends you over. And I'll tell you what, I came home late last night, right, and we were doing a show the other week. We were on, I think it was The Fix, actually. Was it The Fix or one of the shows? I think it was The Fix. And a guy called Stephen Pena, right, who is ace, supports the channel, super chatting away like hell. Just great. Real, obviously, hardcore, diehard fan of the sport. Loves it, this kid, right?
Thanks,
and he's super chatting away. And I said, look, I said, I'm going to send over for the best super chat of the night. I'm going to send these guys some merch. I'm going to send them out some stuff. So anyway, Stephen got it, and I sent him some merch. There was Stephen and Matt Tickle My Limits Larat. Both were on fire. And I sent them out over a shirt. Anyway, don't expect to see anything of it, really. And he messaged me back and said how much he loves the shirt and this, that, and the other. And he sent me a little video. So I get it last night. I picked up the email from Stephen Pena. Stephen Pena, dude, you are acid. That was such a lovely sentiment, mate. And thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you very much, mate. You're an absolute hombre. Every credit to you, young man. And I'm really glad you love the shirt. It looks the balls. Hopefully you wear that out to the bar and you end up getting a chew. It's the kind of level of success that I wish upon you, Stephen Pena. Yes, multiple chews, in fact. In fact, if you go out there and break your PR of chews in one night,
it's been done.
Not sure. Hey,
Oh my God.
Always a good night. Bob, tell you all about that.
I just gotta shut up.
Yeah, never, don't want to talk about that, which is why we should really rev that angle up a bit.
Boom.
There was a time, Neil. There was a time.
Back in the day when Bob was known more as the chew master than Bob. But anyway, we'll move on so he doesn't literally break his foot off in my ass next time he sees me. And we've got another super chat. Stephen Pena, the king, mate. We got Tom Knowles just come in. And he's put just simply, thanks for the top content. Keep it coming, mate. Thank you for your super chat. And thanks for the support of the channel. Much appreciated. And yeah, we hope the show delivers. We got about an hour and 25 minutes on here today. Eric's got a hard stop later on. He's just had a swimming pool built and he's going out doing some swimming now. I think he's got a work engagement later on. But we'll try and deliver on that for you. And last but not by no means least, Fredden997, thanks for your super chat, mate. He's just put, good evening. Just wondering, which was your favorite tournament you guys have ever been to? Holy, there's a couple that might fall into it, and let's hand it over to start things going and see where we end up. And we will get that question answered. It might come up in a moment, I believe. And I'm going to hand you over to the ringmaster. It's Eric Roussin, ladies and gents, who's going to tell us about what we're speaking about this evening.
Yeah, well, to answer this question, of the tournaments I've been to, the one I enjoyed the most was probably the 2015 WOW Regionals, which was the 3 tournaments in one location in Las Vegas the same weekend. That was the biggest assembly of pro North American arm wrestlers in probably since Over the Top. It was a fantastic event. There was 24 guys in every weight class who made money. I mean, that was that was a special day. So for me, and the production value that the WOW brought, it was unbelievable. So that's probably my top tournament of which I participated in.
Bob, this is a lot of shows to choose from.
Yeah, I don't. The reality is my favorite tournaments for me.
You want them?
Honestly, have nothing to do with the arm wrestling. You know, I mean, the time I went to Russia. I mean, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the tournament I talk about the most, especially since Cobra's right here. We went to a tournament together in England one time that Clive Myers put on.
Not the Bus Emporium. London Bus Emporium tournament in '87.
Probably. No, it couldn't have been.
He got his jaw fixed.
It had to be
where Andreas was there, and Gary, and
it could have been where we all honestly got screwed out of the money.
I know it very well.
Okay.
And that wasn't me. Just
the tournament.
Let the record show that tournament had absolutely fuck all to do with me.
Exactly. Nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with me. Clive Myers, me, Brian Shea, and Cobra Rhodes all went over together, and we all got screwed out of the money. Now here's what's crazy. Bro, is after the tournament, I remember sitting in a hotel lobby with people from 10 different countries, sharing stories, basically through sign language because we can't communicate that well. And we were there until 6 or 7 in the morning, and it was one of the most memorable times. That was the best part. That's the story I tell all the time when it comes to arm wrestling.
It was that brand new Hilton in London, right, Bob?
Yes.
And we were partying so hard, all these nations, that they brought back the piano player.
Exactly.
They brought back the piano player. There wasn't a piano player.
Exactly. It was
they had this grand piano in the bar.
Memorable. Yes, super memorable.
I was there to watch that event. I was there to watch that event when I was a kid. Igor Akmanshin was there from Russia, and Andreas was there.
I pulled Andreas. Yeah.
Yeah, God.
I pulled Andreas in that event and had a really good match with him. Andreas won. And then I ended up staying at Andreas's house and went to Norway the next week.
Yeah.
So it was just awesome.
Now it's funny because myself and Cobra were talking about that exact event the other day, and I said because we got round to it, I said when I first was I was based in the north, and that was all southern based guys, and I end up on the practice table. It's about 87, around that time, and I'd not been in it long at all. Was it 87 or 89? But it wasn't much different to that. And I ended up on the practice table with Brian Shea, and he was showing me some stuff. But when I was an absolute kid, self and Craig said, "Oh Jesus Christ, that brings back memories, mate."
Yeah, no, I was
also underlines just how old
exactly
you two are.
Yes,
just saying.
Yes.
Amazing. So Cobra Rhodes.
Yes.
Best ever tournament, dude. Don't say the one Bob Brown just said.
The one Bob Brown just said. Bro, I don't. Bro, you pick one for me.
My favorite Cobra Rhodes tournaments. Okay. I I'm going to go for three legendary events where I was just like, the first one was, I think it was Tel Aviv, Israel, where I think it was either Greece or Israel, and it was the first time I'd ever seen you in action live. And you were just cleaning house, absolutely smashing people to bits. And I remember thinking, who the is that guy? And the whole style, bearing in mind, I didn't know anything about arm wrestling really then. I'd come in and just getting into it, only a pup. And I'm trying to learn from the guys who were dominating the game, of which you were that mother fluffer. And the manner in which you went about business, the confidence, the narcissistic arrogance of your demeanor, I king loved it. I thought that was ace. It's because it wasn't bullshit. It was the back it up thing. And if you've got the ability to support what you're doing with that, you can't be arrogant enough. The friggin' aura that was coming off you was amazing that day. It was amazing. You were like you were entertaining the crowd before there was a fucking crowd. There was no cameras there. There's nobody really doing anything. And you were just playing to the audience, of whom I was one. And it was ace. It was the fact that you were making a show of kicking the shit out of everyone. And not enough people do that. I like that. It engages the people in the crowd. If you're up there and you're in a match and they can feel the emotion that you're experiencing up there, I love it. Gennady Quickvenia, when he goes up there, and I was talking about it to Engin the other day, he'll hit the hook and spin round and start shouting some evil shit into the crowd. And I have no idea what he's saying. It's like Bob was saying, I really don't know, you sign language, I don't know what he's saying, but whatever it is, I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
It's absolute class. He'd be like, shouting stuff in there. Amazing. And you could see the whole place ignite. And that was a very similar thing. Second one. Okay.
There's more?
Geneva, 1992.
Geneva.
Now, you were dominant in your weight class, and that was pretty much expected from my perspective. But back in the days when they used to do the world overall, the world open, that's when it got entertaining, because it was just murderer's row. The guys you'd seen competing all day and winning the classes head to head. And you, I think, were pulling either 65s or 76s, one of them two, I think 65s, not sure. I remember one match in particular with yourself and Nir Harel of Israel, Baby Sharon.
Yeah, Baby Sharon.
And that was Iron Dick. Absolute war.
Yeah, he's throwing Soviet Georgians off the table, that guy.
Correct. Really super strong, solid wrist, rock strong joints. Clearly the stronger man. And it was boxer versus puncher 101. And you just worked your way back into the match and then finished the match. And it was just great. Just a really, really entertaining match. I loved it. I absolutely loved that one.
The flow wrestling, the technique.
Yeah.
Third and final, Cobra Rhodes, outstanding example, and still to this day remains one of the most remarkable single days arm wrestling that I've ever seen from anyone. And I'm pretty sure we might cover it today, or if not, we'll talk about it at some point. Vladikavkaz, Russia, 99. Because on that day, I'm not sure you ever were better than you were that day. I'm not sure.
So basically, Neil, what you're saying is you really love Cobra. You've got a man crush on Cobra.
What I'm going to say is this, right? What I'm going to say is this. When I'm
Neil, will you subscribe to my channel, please?
Cobra Rhodes, ladies and gentlemen, get subscribed to his channel. But what I will say is this. When I was 12 and 13-year-old kid walking around, nobody gives a shit. You're walking around a tournament, all right? And nobody could care less. The people in my country, in the organization for arm wrestling at that time, couldn't really care less, because I'm a 13-year-old kid and they're not particularly bothered. All right? The man who is the superstar of the goddamn tournament I go over to, as a confident, brash 13-year-old kid, and say, "Hey, mate, will you show me how you do that?" And the motherfucker says, "Yes." Well, I didn't forget. So yeah, I like Cobra. End of.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
There it is, mother fluffers. Now then, a couple more super chats coming in. Here we go. Let's have a look. Stephen Pena back in. Told you, don't play this guy.
What up, Steve? Come on.
I'll be here forever. I love arm wrestling. Go Devon and Schoolboy. That's his tips for that. Bob Brown. I really wish they didn't give so many elbow fouls to Craig against Rob Vigent Jr. So he was a 2-year boy. And Craig obviously worked Cobra's Corner a few times back in the day, and particularly at the Arm Wars event that you can see the shot of behind there.
Let me,
Stephen.
can I throw something to shout out?
Of course you can, mate. Go.
Yeah. So in case you don't know or think people don't know, Craig Tullier is currently working in Utah and lives in my guest house. And we have been working on his elbow situation. We think we have it solved. And we just saw what Craig is starting to be capable of after his arm surgery. He had 2 arm surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
He nearly won the overall at the Hawthorne event, gave Jordan Sill everything he could handle, who also trains here. And I have a feeling, hopefully, you'll see a Craig Tullier RVJ match sometime this year. I mean, it would be great, just to have, because I think they're like 1-1 against each other. I really don't know. I know that Craig has beaten RVJ. I know RVJ has beaten Craig. And hopefully we'll see another one soon.
You know what? It's great to see Craig getting really back into it. I mean, at the was it the Kenny Bostick Memorial show at the weekend that you did, where he won the middleweights there? Prior to that, I think he had a couple of results where he didn't do quite as well, and there was a bit of concern about whether or not he'd come back to full strength. Well, I suppose we can put that to bed now. He looked very, very, very ready.
Yes.
So brilliant. And pass on my best to him, mate, when you see Craig. We're going to get Craig on the show as well, ladies and gents, for anybody in the chat who's interested, who's a 2-year fan. We'll have him on here very soon. I'm in contact with Craig. I'm going to get a date in place soon. You may want to come on with him, Bob, if he's there as well. Be a good laugh. I'm just going to knock over a couple more of these super chats. They're coming in thick and fast. Thanks for the support on these guys. They're absolutely superb. Matt Tickle My Limits Larat in the mother fluffing house. What's up, Neil? Great show as always. Did you see how fired up Matt Mask was on Rolly Ray's show with Hermes and Engin? Who doesn't love that guy? Yes, I did. And who doesn't love that guy? He's absolute quality, isn't he? Matt doesn't play games. And what I was talking about with Cobra a second ago, exactly the same situation. Fires himself up, ignites the crowd. Just ignite. A very exciting arm wrestler, Matt Mask. You can't help but go on the journey with Matt. He's just absolute quality in that respect.
Boy, and he's got the frame of a guy that could be a super heavyweight killer.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 6'7", is he, Matt? Eric, you don't know that.
I don't think he's quite 6'7", but 6'5".
He might as well be 7 feet when he's on fire,
Yeah, he's certainly got some real leverage there. Now, Stephen Pena back in. See what I mean? He's back again. What is all your guys' favorite match? Holy shit, they're coming in quick. Mine is Devon versus Mike. Well, the Acid Rain original version. It was Iron Dick. That's actually mine as well, Stephen. That's one thing we got in common. That match was frigging bristling. It was an unbelievable. We had over 15,000 people in the Orient Leisure Dome at the Trafford that day, and the atmosphere was immoral. It was absolutely unbelievable. And as Bob said a minute ago, one of the things about arm wrestling that's special is when as you'll know, guys, it's when it's the lead up, it's the behind the scenes. The other day, me and Cobra were on the phone, and he said, "Oh, what's the situation with the match on the 28th? I bet you're excited about that." And I said to him, "Well, to be honest, mate, I'm gutted because commentating it remotely, you don't get that, like Bob was talking about that.
Right.
It's not there,
Right.
Removed from it. When you're there, when you're in the room, when you can feel the the atmosphere, the tension, everything's coming off it. I'm going to try and bring some of that energy to the commentary, but there's no replacement for being in the room, is there?
Yeah,
Right.
to show your blood is thicker. You know, you can smell the fear. You can smell everything, the excitement. It's a whole nother animal. You know, everyone in this chat room knows what I mean.
So we'll start with you, Cobra. Favorite match of all time, mate? Either one of your own or one that you've witnessed.
One that I've witnessed. Boy.
Either. It can be one of yours or it can be... In fact, let's go there first. One of yours. What's your favorite match ever?
I think my favorite match is post-injury. It's because I wasn't, when I was really good, I didn't really have favorite matches. Yeah, I beat a lot of super heavyweight guys, but those weren't like good, exciting matches. Like the most exciting match now that if I look at film, which there is really a lot of me, there is not, there's the Steel Giraffe. I really enjoyed. I could watch that super match.
There's a good pull on it. Well, in fact, every time you've pulled, Nick, it's been great. But
that second,
I'm assuming the UAL is the one you mean in Reno.
Yeah. That was. I mean, just for like an arm wrestling beginner, just to show him something that's not two guys going blasting hard. Bam, showing them a little bit of the cerebral, especially what you new guys need to be. Pretty much, there were two high caliber guys in that match, slow pulling.
Physical chess.
You know what? Nicholas and I slow pulled that tournament, and you can see arm wrestling. You don't see a lot of arm wrestling these days.
Right.
That match goes everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, we worked, bud. We worked, and that was a good weekend for me. I triple crown that weekend. Almost got in Cataray's ass. You know what I'm saying?
I do, mate. I did it just before your ass. So close.
Yeah.
Gingerbread man was always on the plan.
Last time I got handed 5 stacks, it was from Bob Brown at the Triple Crown.
I still haven't forgiven Dave Hicks for that, you know.
Dave, you bastard, Dave.
David.
You bastard.
No, Hicksy.
Even if it wasn't a pin, please call a pin in that scenario.
Yeah. See,
I was so desperate in that match, I even went for, he made no attempt to grip.
Yeah. If you notice, Neil, I was coming in at him. All these other guys were running away.
Bet your ass I ran away. Felt like a goddamn train drove through my arm when they put that strap on.
I was angry. I wanted to win bad.
That was a fun day, though. That was a fun. So, what about one you've witnessed?
As a kid, one that was one of my favorites, one that I talk about to like rookies or something, newbies, is it was a WPAA, the 2-go system back in like 82 or 83. And it was a 2-go system. I think Paul Cicchini took a second to Dave Patton. Jerry Janning was third, maybe in that class. I was in the next up class where Burt Whitfield and those guys were. But there was a match between Cleve Dean and a very thickest, biggest Baby Lupke's Bobby Hopkins in the final.
Oh my God, Bobby Hopkins.
Yeah, that was the WPA finals in New Orleans, 84.
84, okay, yeah. 84.
Bobby Hopkins.
Yeah. That was a year after I graduated high school.
Seen Bobby Hopkins.
And should have graduated in 83. I graduated in 84. But I was an arm wrestler already for 4 years. So I wasn't going to school. I was going to Bovie's and arm wrestling at the boss, nickel night and that kind of shit. Anyway, and it was the first go, it was a normal match. Second go, they started you in a hook, but you could come out. And if there was a slip then they started you in a hook and you had to stay in it. And of course, Bobby Hopkins moved there and Cleve's in. So anyway, Cleve, they called the match for Bobby. You know what happened on go. They said, oh, Cleve's top rolling. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a position that Bobby Hopkins was coming in here with Kung Fu, right? So, of course, Cleve's big old catcher's mitt, boom. Cleve's top rolling, boom. And I never saw that much meat move so fast as that, because Cleve Dean was not happy, dude. And I'm in the 17, so I'm at the front of the stage with Gabe Bacardi's behind me, and I'm like, that's not fair. That's not, little yappy Chihuahua there. And going because I love Cleve Dean, Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker's one of the reasons I do this thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like kind of sideways up on the stage, and Cleve said, "Look at this little man." And I think he grabbed a kid from Georgia. His name was David Gosden. He was a little curly-haired kid. These were missing. He looked like a little vampire. Sorry, Dave. I'm not making fun of you. That's just, I remember you.
You do actually look like a vampire.
100 years ago. And I remember Cleve said, "Oh," he was talking to the TV cameras, and he said, "I'll show you with this little man right here what they did." I guess so. It's my favorite match, but it wasn't even the match. It was the after.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
He grabbed little David Gosden. He's a kid in Gaby's weight class, under 30 pounds or whatever. And he was up there demonstrating for the camp. And I sat there at that stage, and I was so mad Cleve Dean didn't pick me. Because so that match, really, I mean, a 17-year-old kid, I was into the sport already. Obviously, I was remember People's Airline? That's what we flew down on, People's Airline. Me, Fitzy, Al Turner, all them. And Al Turner beat Eddie Long that day. Huge match. Eddie Long was a brother. He was like Apollo Creed +2. You know what I mean? Everybody knows when they saw the first Rocky, when you saw Apollo Creed, I thought I was going to work out and look like Apollo Creed. It didn't work out anyway. It didn't work out for you guys either. So
Look out for me, mate. Bloody hell.
But yeah. And that was, yeah, so that day meant a lot. I saw Dave Patton and Paul Cicchini in a war that day. That day meant a lot to me. Yeah, so that would have been 84. That was, yeah. So Johnny Walker got Johnny Walker's autograph. Yeah, that day. When Miller High Life was a sponsor. Great, man. I went home. Showed me Johnny Walker's autograph.
Absolute trailblazer. There you go.
Yeah.
Really well. Bob Brown, favorite arm wrestling match. Time.
Mine, the favorite one I saw and the favorite one I was in both involved Dave Patton. Dave Patton against Denny Dubrail in a Yukon Jack final. I kind of, my memory, I would say it was
96, maybe.
Could have been 96 in New York, 95.
95.
They just had a war, and it's like Cobra said. It's rare that you actually get to see arm wrestling, the flow of it, the technique of it, between two guys who really know what they're doing. And that's the most exciting thing. That's why currently today, Giannis Omlins is like my favorite arm wrestler, because he can transition. He can do it all. Prudnik is another one. He can do it all. He can go anywhere from the go. He can go anywhere after the go.
Magnificent arm wrestler.
I love that type of stuff. And just the excitement of the day with Denny and Dave. It was just a thrilling day. And then I had a match with Dave one time. And it's the time when I thought, I think I could beat him today. And I'm lining up with him, and I felt real good, and his hand felt good. And that son of a bitch threw in a hook. And we all know Dave rarely hooks.
Like,
I stopped him just above the pad, and I'm starting to get his hand to roll back, and it didn't roll back, and he ended up finishing me and beating me. Now, the reason that's my favorite match is because I went up to him afterwards, and I said, Dave, I can't believe you hooked me. And he goes, I didn't want to deal with your hand, Bob. Your hand is too strong. And it was huge to me. I was like,
that
wow.
coming from Dave. Yeah.
Yeah. That coming from Dave. We had to talk about hand strength with Cobra, Alan Fisher, and Dave. And Cobra's at the top of that list. And then I think myself, and then Alan, and then Dave, and but that's a side note. So they're my two favorite matches. They both involve Dave Patton.
Tremendous. Eric, now you've stood in a lot of arm wrestling matches, mate.
Yeah. I don't know.
I can't single out a single arm wrestling favorite arm wrestling match. I can tell you the elements that make matches exciting for me.
Knock us a few over. Give us as well as doing that. Give us a few examples of like top tier puppies, ones that you think, yeah, that was up there.
I think, I mean, the ones you meant, the definitely Acid Rain, that match was very, very good. I quite liked, even though it was Devin's match against John Brzenk, the first time, or second match at the Superstar Showdown in 2004, where John decided in the final to go in a hook with Devin.
Yeah,
that was a minute plus match. And it was exciting for me because I was, very close to Devin, and we were so excited for him to be in that match. And although, John eventually won and he chose to go in that position, to me, that was an exciting back and forth grinder of a match. John did look in trouble at certain points in that match. So for me, that was exciting, but there's probably more of a personal, sentimental reason. But generally speaking, any match that's a real grinder that has a lot of transitions, goes back and forth, and ultimately, especially if there's an unexpected result, like if the huge underdog comes out and has a grind of a match back and forth and ends up winning, that to me is a very memorable, exciting match. But there are too many thousands of matches for me to single one out.
Yeah.
What about the one that you're involved with, mate? Have you got any sort of standout match?
I'd say in recent memory, I won the Southern Regionals of the WAL in 2017.
You did good, WAL.
Yeah, in the left 195 class.
You were on fire.
I made it to the finals against fellow Canadian JP Paré. And in the preliminaries, he flashed me. And I wasn't very confident. What I had going for me was it was a 3 out of 5. It was a reset, and it was a 3 out of 5 in the finals. First 2 matches, he got me pretty fast, and I wasn't very confident. In the third match, I guess I was just really concentrating on the go, really concentrating, pulling back hard into his hands, and I got a stop. And I got the stop and eventually slipped, go to the straps. And from that point forward, I won the next 3 matches, but I had to work for it. I think match 4 was 2.5 minutes. So I came back. I surprised myself. I did not expect to win, but to come back and win 3-2 after being down 2-0, to me, that's probably one of the biggest highlights of my pulling career.
Hey, we've got, guys, we have almost 80 folks in this room and barely 20 likes. So you guys, like, cross off your little chat thing for a second and smash the like button and come right back. We'll be right here, bro.
I'll tell you what, I want to thank everybody who's in the chat for supporting the channel. I know the timings are not great, particularly in the United States. We got some more super chats here I just want to fire over. Daniel Urick with a $5 super chat, and he just put hashtag Cobra rocks, another Rhodes fan right there.
Daniel-san.
Cheers, brother. Thanks for your super chat. Really appreciated. Fart Macass with a super chat. I like this.
What was that name?
Fart Macass.
Okay.
Pretty active dude, actually, Fart Macass. Love him. And he's actually quality. He pops up all over the place. Bob Brown, what's that on your arm? It looks feminine. An early shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, it's probably nothing.
Is that a 10 meter?
It is supposed to send an electric current through your body to increase ATP production to help you heal. The jury is still out on whether it does anything. Let me wear this thing for the next month, and I'll let you guys know what I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Brown has currently started to invest in technology. Not only does he have this new thing on his arm, he also has a new phone.
Yes, new phone.
New phone for the old school for Bob Brown. So
yes.
Now then, Cobra Rhodes, very good friend of yours and mine. Uncle John is in the mother fluffing chat, and he's put a super chat in. Uncle John, if you're not already following Uncle John's channel, get over there. Uncle John's Arm Wrestling Show. Cobra's home is Uncle John's Arm Wrestling Show. He's got his own channel, Cobra Rhodes, which will be in the description. We're also going to put Uncle John's in the description. Get yourself over there. Uncle John is Iron Dick. And thanks for your super chat, mate. He's just put, Cobra is my spirit animal.
Savage.
Holy the bed. Daniel Urick with, I believe, the channel's record super chat of all time.
Daniel-san.
He's just put to Daniel, you're at YouTube, Cobra, and definitely my man Neil. Mate, that is iron. Thanks
The
so
Wizard's
much for it.
kids.
My God. Daniel, you're the king, mate. Brilliant. Thank you very, very much indeed. So we'll have a look down and see if we've missed any in a moment, but we're going to move on with the show. And Eric, we were going to be at around 2000 in terms of the years and the time.
Yeah, well, I figured last episode we covered sort of the late 90s. So I was going to start with the biggest pro tournament of 2000. It was a new one put on by Mike Bowling. It was the inaugural Harley Bowl in Montpelier, Ohio. And that was one special event. For those who don't know how that first one was run, there were regular pro classes that have some money for the top few competitors, but then the top two in each class, right-hand class, faced off in an overall. There was a lightweight overall and there was a heavyweight overall. Lightweight cutoff was 187, and then 188 and up was the heavyweight. And then the winners of each overall would face off in the finals, and the winner of the finals would win the bike. So that's how that first one was run. It was a Harley Sportster, I believe, probably a $10,000 vehicle. I'm not sure exactly. So that attracted a hell of a lot of strong pullers, some international. And then, maybe Cobra.
MSRP was talk about MSRP was $12,999.
Oh, there you go, even more. And so Cobra, which class did you pull? The 187s or the
165? Kevin Bongard won the 187s.
Okay.
I won the 165s, and the Angry Turk won the class beneath the 150s. 150. I don't know what it was.
143 probably that year. Yeah. So how did the overalls go then? For your
yeah, I think I might have put Kevin in there. Then I put Ingen in there. Then Ingen posed with Kevin and flashed him. And then he his reward was he got to face me again. So that was, he bummed out again. There's two flashes. I mean, those two matches, if you aggregate, probably less than a second. Ingen and I at that first Harley.
I tell you, those years, those were, in my mind, 99, 2000. Those are probably your peak years, I think.
Yeah, well, that's when Ingen was going around raising hell at winning all those classes at Petaluma and all that, right?
Yeah.
Same time.
Yeah.
And then in the supers, John won his class.
Yeah.
I think Dave Randall won the big heavyweight class. But anyway, John made it to the overall finals of the super heavyweights, and then it was you and John.
Yeah.
In the finals for the bike. Pardon?
Yeah, it was a race to two in that for the bike.
Right, right. And I've seen video, but maybe you could walk us through those finals because that was pretty exciting stuff.
Well, the first, you saw it. I don't want to say it. When you top roll the shit out of somebody and they call a loss on a slip, it's just weird.
Yeah.
And when it's your guys that make that call too, it's like, what do you say? That was, so that just changed. I mean, I probably wasn't going to beat John that day, but that was really cool. Weird. I haven't seen that match. Have you seen that match?
I have seen it. Yeah, it's somewhere.
I've never seen the match, but I sure
really.
Like
who's got that?
I don't remember where I've seen it. If it's not on Arm TV, it might be on Arm TV's database. I'm not sure. I've seen it. I know I've seen it. So
yeah, it's just like our match that I had with the GOAT in Paris. I've never seen that match.
Okay.
Never seen that match. The match Mickey still apologizes for.
For which match was that? Sorry.
Super Bras de Fer.
You haven't seen which match from Super Bras de Fer?
The when Brzezinski and I pulled.
Okay.
If I got the call on Brzezinski, then it would have been me and Gary in that final.
Ah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I had Gary's number back then, but I couldn't get past the GOAT, even when I thought I did. It just, but dude, it's rare that he loses, but I'm proud to say, you know what? The call could have went another way. Once John Brzezinski grabs you low on the wrist, dude, if you're me, you're screwed.
You got a problem, right?
So one thing I can say is every time I pull the guy, he's giving me an arm wrestling grip. And then if I bother him on the restart, he's like, all right, enough of that shit. I'm grabbing you by the waist and throwing you. So that's what, it sucked. But I mean, when I think about it, with his talent and his strength, of course, he could go up there and set up with me and grab me on the wrist. I'm pretty sure. Maybe when I wasn't my best, no, but no, he's always given a fair. He's always been a absolutely one of the most fair athletes I've ever seen at the table.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, more than all of his victories, just think of the fire that he's walked through, and show me a match where he screwed someone over.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
that's something John and I have.
and I've always felt
I'll
like
blow myself a little bit.
you get a fair crack at a whip, don't you, with John? You really do.
Yeah.
And then so he won. John won the first one, and then it was such a success that Mike ran the event again in 2001, 2002. But he changed it up and made it probably even more interesting to the competitors, because now all of a sudden the winner of each class got a key.
Yeah.
The winner of the overalls would get an extra key, and then one of the keys would start the Harley. So that year, Vanguard won the bike.
All Harleys come home to Utah.
Well, not 2002. That one came back to Canada. Denny Zabrai, the Dragon, won in 2003. That was a good year for him.
Yes.
And the last one I won, and
That's
Bill
true.
Ballinger has it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He's had it since the week after the tournament.
Okay.
How do you think the
2009.
talent stacked up at that event compared with some of the other big events just preceding that? Sort of, how do you think the talent stacked up at the Harley?
The early Harley pulls, 2000, 2001, 2002, they were crazy tough. I think back to the 2002 left-hand super heavyweights. You had Travis, you had I think Eric Wolfell, you had Christian Binney, you had basically almost all the top ranked left-hand super heavyweights, and Christian Binney came out on top. That was basically the event of his career. It was super stacked. 2000, 2001, 2002, that tournament had a lot of talent in those events. A couple of other events from that period in the US, at least. So you got the Arnold Classic going strong. The GNC Show of Strength, 2001, 2004, similar in terms of prize money to the Arnold. And a couple of years they had sort of 4 regionals, ended up with a final at the end of the year. But in those years, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, the Arnolds and the GNC were attracted for money events. Those were the biggest ones going in the world at that time. And there's some people who dominated. I know 2000 was a particularly good year for Cobra because he won the Arnold and he won the Harley. Dave Randall won 4 Arnolds in a row from 2000 to 2003 in the super heavyweight class. Dave Randall in those years, I don't know if you've seen some matches. He was in the mid 2000s. He was crushing, like flashing Ron.
Yeah, his shoulder was deadly. Once he got just a touch of taste. Hold up, time out, stop the press. This guy just doubled up on us, Daniel York, with another $100 super chat.
What?
You heard what I said.
Is
Daniel, you are a savage.
Holy!
We're gonna make you pee in a cup, old boy. You're on.
Daniel Urick, you animal, mate.
Savage. Thank you,
Thank
brother.
you so much. Jesus, Daniel, you're the king. Mate, I'll tell you what, Daniel, please send me an email, will you? Just fire me over an email, mate. Supernatural Strength Channel.
With your address on it.
Yeah, supernaturalstrengthchannel at gmail.com. Supernaturalstrengthchannel@gmail.com. Just
and shoot your address in that email also, Daniel, please. Thank you.
Bad man. Let's have a
He's
look.
the wizard sticks, isn't he?
Can't argue with that, mate. Absolutely phenomenal. So,
Bob Brown, what does your
Yes,
future look like in arm wrestling? Do you have any big matches lined up? I know we're on old school, but you are old school, brother.
Yeah. So I just went to
school.
Yeah, I just went to Hawthorne, and
Did
Hawthorne. Yeah, do you remember Hawthorne? You were a little tipsy down there. You remember Hawthorne?
it's my meds. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Thank
You drinking again, Rhodes?
No.
What did I tell you about that?
That's the one tournament that I really enjoy trying to go against the Young Bucks, and I fared pretty well against some of the up and comers Young Bucks, and not so well against others. it's fine. But I'm going to do a local tournament here in a couple weeks. And then I do plan on going to the Orlando World Championships this year. And of course, competing in the Grandmasters class, the old man.
Going ahead, Bob?
What?
What do you think? What do you
Definitely
think
going
about
ahead.
that with the borders closing? The borders
Well,
are
that's what I'm
closed
getting. Is it
Well,
actually going to happen?
in Europe.
It's currently on. I mean, it's on it. And I agree. This IAFA or IAF World Championships may turn out to be a glorified U.S. tournament. Maybe they'll cancel it. You know, I really don't know. It's not until September. Borders are starting to open now. So I don't know. But that's the one I'm planning on trying to go if it happens.
Mhm.
You know, they talk about the WAF Worlds happening this year, but I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna.
Yeah, I'll be amazed. I'll be
Right,
absolutely amazed if that can go ahead.
Which will mean, of course, I'm the WAF World Champion for 3 straight years if it doesn't happen.
It probably has never been done.
Yeah, of course. So
No. Can't argue. Matt Tickle My Limits Larat's just come in with a very interesting super chat for Andrew Rhodes. He's put, is there a Cobra t-shirt out there? I'd love to buy some. Come
This
on.
summer they'll be out. I was just responding, Neil. Yeah, they're going to be coming out this summer. So we'll do some fun with it on my channel.
Remember that
And
bloody,
let you folks
that one
know.
you had, that unique one that you used to have with the
Yeah,
arm
coming
on
out
it?
of the yeah, with my face and the snake.
Get that bad boy reproduced, son.
Should I do that? That same
Get
old
it done.
school?
Get it done. That's the kiddie right there.
No anime stuff. No.
Get that done. Get that old school Cobra shirt done.
All right, we can do that.
It's the puppy dog's tail, that one. It really is. So, Eric,
I
next
just
on our
wanted
list,
to add,
mate.
I wanted to add just an interesting story about Dave Randall at the Arnold in 2001. So Devin Larat
Who's your
went.
daddy?
Devin Larat went in 2001, and he faced Dave Randall, and he was crushed by Dave Randall. And Devin was so impressed by the size of Dave's hand, which he described sort of like a catcher's mitt, that when he got back to Ottawa, when he got back home, he handmade like sort of a hand, like a huge hand to train, and added straps to train with. And it was a ridiculous. It's probably, more along the lines of maybe Jeff Dave's hand. It was a huge monstrosity, but that's how much of an impression Dave Randall had on Devin that day. So he knew he wanted to train to be able to beat a hand like that. So,
Unbelievable.
Dave Randall was also the main guy who, in those early years, 2000, 2001, 2002, he was always having Travis's number, and Travis was rising. And eventually Travis did beat Randall, I think 2002 GNC maybe. So it's interesting that time period, some of the people just starting in the sport who are now basically legends, they were climbing fast in those years. I think back, Rustam Babayev, just getting started in the early 2000s. Alexei Vovoda, just starting, but they got good so fast. And you would hear these stories. They were competing in Europe, Rustam and Alexei and everyone, and they're being online. They're being promoted as the unbeatable. And then, well, we all know what happened when Alexei came to Ottawa in 2003 and faced Travis in the finals. That was, talk about a classic match, unexpected by a lot of people. Maybe not everyone thought it was unexpected, but for Travis to win that match in 2003 and become super heavyweight champion of the world over Alexei Vovoda and all the heat that he was bringing, and I mean, it led to the genesis of Pulling John. I mean, that was, talk about a classic moment.
Yeah. That whole scenario that played up to Pulling John.
Yeah.
We probably need to do a Pulling John special. I'm going to reach out to Savan Matosian and get Savan on the show.
Yeah.
Because that'd be interesting. Let us know in the chat, guys, if you'd like us to get Savan on here.
Yeah, but Savan took my line out of that Pulling John. I'm very upset about it.
It was in your line was in the trailer.
John, he took it out. I'm upset.
Your line is in the trailer, though.
Were you at that?
It's in the trailer.
Yeah.
Bob, were you at that shoot we did at Travis's for that? When we all came in, John? Me?
Not at Travis's. I wasn't there. No.
Okay. All right.
No.
That was fun, boy. That was fun.
Yeah.
I was jacked on morphine. That was right after my wreck.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wobbly eggs makes everything better.
I am giraffe person, buddy.
Another absolute classic from Cobra. I love that. Oh, God.
The 2002 Arnold's, one special story about this was Dave Patton came out of hiding for that event. He hadn't really been active since about 96. I mean, he may have been a bit, but he shows up at the Arnold and he wins. So that's pretty impressive after that type of break.
And he also went to World Championships in Italy in 2001. Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, he felt those Eastern Europeans.
Okay.
Yeah, he came over to that. It was nice to see Dave there, but it was you could tell that he felt out of his environment.
Okay.
You know, he felt it's funny. It was almost like the Alexei Voda in Canada scenario.
Right.
Alexei in Canada looked like he was completely out of his comfort zone.
Right.
You know, and a little bit overawed by the moment. Very, very different to 2004 in Poland, where he looked right back in his comfort zone.
Right.
You know, looked confident, looked ready. That was an awesome show. Stephen Pena just come back in with a super chat. Stephen, mate, he's put, I can't be king anymore. I'm too focused on bills, mate. I'll tell you what, you're always a king as far as I'm concerned. Absolute rock on the channel. Support us left, right, and centre. Tuning in all the time. Really appreciate the support, Stephen. Nothing wrong with you, mate. You're the king. He's put, Daniel, save you damn rent money. Cobra, forearm flex. Let's see that forearm, mate. What are you working with?
I gave it to him.
There it is. Just put your hand up like that, dude. That's what does the damage right there.
Yeah.
What does the damage right there, ladies and gentlemen.
If I close it on you.
Yeah. So, Eric, moving forward, mate, what are we going to next, brother?
The last thing I'll mention about the Arnold in those years is that's sort of when King George came on the scene, at least on the North American or international. So in Canada, he had been kicking ass pretty much since the mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
By the time he went to the Arnold's in 2003 and won it, he started getting some attention. He was going to the GNC tournaments. He was winning those as well. And he won 9 Arnolds in a row at 176.
Wow.
I mean, he won 12 in all. And this is all done when he was in his 50s and 60s.
Dude,
so
the new guys in the chat were talking about Crazy George Zakowicz.
Yeah.
He went from obscure to like untouchable. Like, listen, before my Bang Bang, I used that as a reference, but before that wreck, he used to come down with the Zalepas. I used to work with Barb Zalepa a bunch and Mark. They'd stay at our place and stuff. And he'd come down and I used to jolly walk that guy. Like, we used to have money tournaments there in the Midwest. And then that happened. And then, I got banged up and I didn't pull for a minute. And I started hearing about the Babayev boy and Crazy George. I'm like, what? What's going on? You know what I mean? I'm like, man, I got so many ricochets. What's going on? Then I see super heavyweights bouncing off his arm. I'm going, what happened?
Denny Debray had the exact same experience up till the end of the 90s. Denny had never lost to Crazy George. Then he pulled him 5 years later. He's like, this is not the same guy.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, I think it was at the Rising Sun or Rising Star in Indiana. Cobra was there, and he pulled Crazy George. And when the match was over, Cobra walks off stage and looks at me and he goes, "That's a whole new great growing on that vine."
Yeah.
And I thought that was the best line in the world.
Yeah, it was just insane.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? The King's move, there's always been the discussion about who was the originator of the King's move. And both of the people that were in the hunt for that, illustrious title, both started to really emerge in competition at around this time. Because prior to that, George hadn't been utilizing that style. And then it started to emerge. He started to come out with it. And Manassiev was the same in Europe. The famous clash between Manassiev and Engin. That wasn't his first utilization of that move by any means. I know that I first remember seeing Manasiev hanging people up left, right, and center in 1995 and 1996 at the WAF Worlds. Anatoly was pulling it there on people. Now, funnily enough, Crazy George was in that show. I actually pulled him that day in the 80 kilo class. He pulled the masters and the seniors there and flashed him, but he wasn't using the King's move.
Right.
Interestingly, I still remain unconvinced that Crazy George could not be flash pinned at any point in his career.
Right.
Because I remember at an Arnold Classic when I was way past my best, after I'd had a joint rebuild, arguing with George about that, and Crazy George, absolute legendary dude. He'd call your ass out on the spot if you say something like that. He will literally call you out on the spot, like, yeah, okay. And he said, oh, beat anybody under 200 pounds right now. I went, bullshit, you get leathered, you know. Craig Sanders flashed your ass. And we were sort of bantering and having a laugh. And we were on the stand at the show there, and he said, I'll pull you right now. And I flashed him 3 times, back to back, whack, 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 nailed his ass. And he said, okay, start slow. And I was so frigging confident that I said, okay, and rolled him, got control, went to finish, fucked. Took me, we were there for probably, and my teammate Andy Barks at the side of the table laughing, going, oh, you're in deep shit. So I slipped, got out of there. We strapped up, same again. And he's going, now don't, you know, you got to go slow. So, right, okay. Again. And I still thought, yeah, I'll get him. Nah, couldn't get him.
No.
And the thing is, that was me destroyed then, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely bollocks. It destroyed my arm, wrote me off for the day. Fucked. Couldn't hold my own dick. That dude then, immediately after, pulled with Michael Celiaris, who was stood at the side of the table, and same thing.
Yeah.
That was what was most impressive about George. That and the fact that the dude had to be then like mid to late 50s. You know, he was old.
Right.
And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Because the man's in his, you know, that's mega, isn't it?
At the 2004 Harley pull, George was there, and he pulled the 171 class. Chad Silvers pulled the 189 because he could have pulled the 171, but he didn't want to face George. So
get this, just 1 super second. Daniel Urich's put another 100. You not.
Wow. Daniel
Urich, mate. Steve, I do not do rent. I'm my own man. Daniel Urich YouTube. Dude, you're a friggin', you've got some venom. You have. Daniel Urich is crushing it in the chat, mate. He's come with a flag.
Yeah, you guys need to follow Daniel's YouTube page as well.
That's ridiculous. I'm put it in the link. Absolutely phenomenal, mate. Daniel, thank you so much for your support today. Eric, carry on, brother. Sorry.
I'm just saying. So the Chris George at 2004 Harley pull, he wins the 171. He gets into the overall. He proceeds to beat every single person he faces, with one exception. In the end, in the finals of the overall, he faces Marcio, and Marcio was able just to hit just fast and hard enough to pin Crazy George. But it was, I tell you, if he did not get it over in that fraction of a second, Crazy George was going to come back and win the whole thing. It's so impressive. And then he also, if you remember, Travis Bajan organizing. Remember when he started organizing? He used super match was the term he used, but initially it wasn't one-on-one. It was sort of anyone who wants to put up $1,000 thinks they're the best at a given weight. Come on out and duke it out, winner take all.
Challenge match, yeah.
But he used the term super match for those events at that time, and one of them was a 171, I think, and it was supposed to eventually. It was at one point there were like 7 or 8 guys who were supposed to go. In the end, only 3 guys showed up. This is 2003, 2004. Crazy George, Andreas Rundstrom, and Yetkia Sankaradze. And it was, you know, those 3 guys who are all.
Are you sure that match isn't still going right now? I think they're still going.
Joking aside, that was one of the longest matches like of all time.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And there were restarts and straps and restarts. The whole of those 3 guys was over an hour, I think.
Was this at Travis's show?
Travis's show, yeah.
This was the
Hey,
yeah. I was
Anybody in the chat who
This was
hasn't
that show.
seen this, Gary
Yeah.
Roberts used to have, whether or not he's put it up now, but I remember back at the time,
We had a
Gary Roberts put that out, and I remember watching it and thinking, God, and it was a mega video. Like on
Yeah.
TV back in the day, he used to do, he had his own style, which was very just unique to Gary. For anybody in the chat who isn't sub to Arm TV, get yourself over. Gary Roberts was an OG of the game, putting arm wrestling out there. And I can tell you this particular match or series of matches that Eric's talking about is ace. We're talking, it's like a fly on the wall type deal. And
Yeah, they're bloody matches.
yeah.
and he follows
They're
the guys
bloody
like out
matches.
the, he'll follow them out into the hall and getting ready and prepping and icing up and mega. It's great.
Gary
Sit
had
that
an
down.
in-your-face style that was fresh to the sport.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
good.
And
Really
that
good.
match, the result of that match opened up. This is what led to a lot of rule discussion, because what happened in the very final match between Crazy George and Vepkia was after 10 minutes or so, Crazy George gets called on an elbow foul. But the issue is that he was like this. So he was leaning back. His shoulder was probably below the table,
Mm.
but the tip of his elbow was within the confines of the 7x7 inch, and he was riding it on his tricep, which was
Right.
not against the rules at that time. But the ref called the match, say elbow foul, and he freaked out. When we talk about elbow foul, that's within the rules. The point of my elbow is within the confines. I'm riding on my tricep. That was acceptable. There's a big kerfuffle. In the end, they got a draw, and they split the money between Vepkia and Crazy George. But that's probably what led to down the road clarifying of these rules. That's because that was an
Right.
uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pivotal moments. But again, like you say, can't understate the fact that those three guys were savages at that time.
Oh,
Andreas Rundstrom, Vepkia Samkaradze. Vepkia Samkaradze was one of the original,
Ace.
oh, God damn, he was
Ace.
strong. But I have
Hugger
had
did too.
some of my longest, most ridiculous screaming death wars have been against that horrible bastard.
Really?
yeah.
Mate, I have had some absolute epics with that dude over the
I mean,
years.
I know you're a badass, Neil. I've seen you get with it, but I never knew you warred with him. Now,
Oh my God, dude,
son!
mate,
what-
battle. That's a bad mother fluffer.
So
Even when you got
that's what
purchase on
tell
his
me you were
wrist.
top rolling Alexi.
Mate, I'll tell you, Vepkia was right in the sweet spot around my weight class around that time. I had some bangers, absolute bangers with him. Yeah, good. And what a great dude.
Great dude.
What a top
Great
bloke. Vepkia Samkaradze is an absolute class act. Great guy. So friggin' strong, and especially in a strap.
Was he from
powerful wrist.
Sofia?
You know what? No, Georgian.
Oh, George, that's right.
Yeah, Georgian. Vepkia's Georgia. But
Yeah.
one of the original back when you had
Svetan is from
yeah, Svetan.
Sofia. Another man. There's so much talent. There's been so much talent through the doors.
At that time, Svetan and Vepkia had some screamers as well.
Yeah.
You had a oh my God, there was just like a nucleus of friggin' beasts.
Right.
You know, it was ace. Good
The
time.
day of the days of Jan Gimenez.
Yeah.
Right, Neil?
Yes, I do remember him.
We switched to Europe for now. For 10 years there was the Golden Bear tournament. That wrapped up. Last event was 99. Black, who steps in and takes the baton. Mr. Mazurenko starts with the Zloty Tour in 2000. 2000 was sort of a smaller event, but by 2001 you're getting bigger names. 2001, Svetan beats Rustam, very young Rustam, but Svetan top of his form in those years. Germanis beats Vovoda at that 2001 Zloty.
Jan beat Vovoda.
Yeah. So,
Neil, the match I
just
never got,
before that,
Jan Gimenez.
mate, Jan Gimenez for sheer pound for pound.
Remember, their coaches wouldn't let them pull me. Remember,
mate? I'll tell you, that would be an ace match. Back in that would be. I would love. That would be a great pull. Yeah. You got again, boxer puncher, raw
X's and O's.
power, because at that time, Jan Germanis was a 300 kilo bench presser in a 90 kilo man. I think he had the world bench record at that time.
Right, yeah.
Just obscenely powerful. Just obscenely powerful. Looked like he'd been carved out of a block of sheer muscle. In the same way that I look like I've been carved from purest lard.
Marble. Hey, back then for sure. Some of us were playing chess, and most of them were playing checkers.
Right. There was an emergence of superpower. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But the point I was going to make there as well was around in the Zloty Tour, when you had that collection that you spoke about a moment ago. Germanis was got the win over Alexei. I'm pretty sure that was the year that a 75 kilo, actually weighed about 71 kilos, Svetan Gashevsky almost beat Vovoda.
Oh, really?
That day. That gives you an indication of Svetan. Svetan doesn't get talked about a great deal, but let me tell you, if there's a better arm wrestler ever than Svetan Gashevsky, I haven't met that mother.
Right.
He's as good as they get.
As far as he was extremely knowledgeable, super technical, was never in a bad position. Yeah.
Literally, if you look at him, if you look at all the amazing arm wrestlers, what was incredible about Svetan as well?
His small stature.
Yes. His lack of physical advantage.
Nothing intimidating to look at whatsoever.
Right. You look at him, pretty short lever, small hand.
I never pulled him until 210. And it was like, I never pulled him until 210. And it was, remember that tournament? My first match, I broke 2 ribs. He's the one that put me out of that tournament. It wasn't even a match. It was really disappointing.
I would have loved to see you in 1999 version pull the top version of Svetan Gashevsky. That would have been ace. That would have been one of my dreams.
Svetan knows I love him, but that version of me, Neil, I think you could have lined them all up. You know?
Yeah.
I think
I love it, mate. You're iron. There you go. That's the boy right there.
And one class north, I really think you could, and mine, you could have lined them all up.
Mate, you're ace. That's what I love. I'll tell you what I said earlier.
I mean, maybe I'm full of sour milk, but
doesn't matter. It don't matter. If you are, good for you.
But I mean, I like to close my hand a lot. Then I was fast. Then Neil, I hit you. It sucked.
Mate, I would have loved to see that one. That would have been.
Yeah. No.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Can I have a 2-minute timeout? 2-minute timeout. I'll be right back. I'll shut up.
Well, it'll take you a minute to roll it back up again.
Thanks.
Now then, Eric, over to you, dude.
I was going to say that Igor Mazurenko deserves a lot of the credit for the professionalism he ushered into the sport. In those years, 2000, 2003, 2004, no tournaments in North America were run like that. You know, it was very impressive to look at in terms of the quality of the camera, the stage, the lighting, everything. And it was really exciting the year that the American team was organized to go in 2004, where John Brzenk, Travis, Matt Girdner, Chad Silvers, I think Mike Cilieris may have gone that year. That was an exciting. I remember just being on the Northeast board, getting really excited about it's going to be an East versus West,
right?
You know, so that was and it sort of, the results sort of opened up a lot of people's eyes as to really the difference between some of the guys like Rustam and Chad. Chad afterwards, he had said he had never ever felt anything like Rustam Babaya, like
right.
Like and Chad Silvers was a many-time world champion.
Yeah, mega.
But for him to get beat the way he got beat, Rustam. I know people forget. I feel people forget about Rustam because in the last few years he's been pulling the super heavyweights in the top 8. Okay,
right.
The guy is not. He's not the size. Even John Brzenk is bigger than him. He's taller than him. He's not a big guy.
You're talking about a man who was in the 154s, mate.
Right, exactly. But at his weight, for the dominance he's done over 2 decades, it's unbelievable. It's
exactly.
Completely amazed by Rustam.
And again, similar to Svetan, the frame is not significant.
Right. No.
You know, Rustam and Ruslan, his brother,
Yep.
rock strong.
Yeah.
You know, and not physically impressive in terms of leverage, but power packed onto that frame.
Wow.
Those power and explosivity. God.
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah.
there's only maybe one more story that I have to wrap up in about 5 minutes. But if we go back to the U.S., so in 2003, 2004, those years, John Burgess in California was putting on some big tournaments.
Yeah.
In California state champs and the West Coast Pro-Ams. Anyway, 2003 was the first John Brzenk challenge. John Brzenk was going to face 102 people. But what was interesting in a row, what was interesting is that anyone could bid on the spots. It was a silent auction.
That's right.
Spot. So if you wanted to face him first or whatever spot you wanted, you bid however much you want. And if you had the highest bid, that's the spot, the order in which you got to pull him. And the first person to beat him would get $1,500. So there was incentive. And there were guys, Travis was there, Don Underwood was there, Tom Nelson, Kenny Hughes. There was a lot of strong guys. And after 102 matches in a row, you would think, at some point he's going to get tired. But John Brzenk went through the whole 102 matches. He pulled Travis 3 or 4 times. He pulled Don Underwood 3 or 4 times at different points. He beat them all.
I worked the mic on that show.
Oh, really? The John Brzenk challenge? Yeah.
Marvin
It's really
Cohen
unbelievable.
Marvin Cohen was the point man for that show.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was something else. I mean, and then the following year, they did a slightly different variation. It was sort of a smaller group, but it was a class that had John and Matt Gerdner and Ron Bath and Travis Bajan and all, and he beat them all again. It's in John and those. It was another decade where John was at the top. It was.
John's crazy.
A lot of people, what I'll ask, especially the new guys, will say, why do yourself and a lot of the sort of old school guys have John as the man amidst this myriad of unbelievable talent? And let's be honest here, if you've been in this game for a long time, there are some truly magnificent arm wrestlers. I mean, magnificent arm wrestlers that don't get a sniff. They don't get a mention. And it's a damn shame because some of them are gilt-edged, But John has done things with a level of consistency that is above and beyond anyone. And he's done things that he's no right to do. And he does things in a certain style, in a certain way, and with an openness to attack it in any position against anyone of any weight on any given day without any bravado or there's no icing. It's just raw Brzenk. And if you want good matches, we were talking about great arm wrestling matches earlier. Another amazing example of the best of John from so many areas or so many angles would be his encounter with Farid Usmanov. We're getting ahead of ourselves, and we're not gonna end up there. We've got a lot to cover beforehand, but let's be perfectly honest. That match showed why John is so respected amongst arm wrestlers, because not only at that time was Farid red hot. I mean, he was just the man. It's the manner in which John went about it. The fact that he went down a pin in a position that he'd avoided for the rest of the day and shown what he could do if he chose to go the other direction, which is probably his favored technique and what he was best at. And yet he turned to I was emceeing it that day. He turned around, he said, "Hey, Neil, do you know what's the difference first and second?" I said, "I don't know. Ask at the desk that, it's going to be a couple of $100s. So he went over there and he said, "Hey, what's the difference? Payout first and second?" He said, "It's like $300. And he's like, "Okay, no problem." So he turns straight to Farid and goes, "Farid," in the hook again. And the whole frigging place was like, "Oh, it's on." Yeah, none of that, I'm going to top roll him and just take the win. It was in we go. And I'll tell you what, I make a point about sometimes the tiny infringements ruin the match. Never is it better evidence than that. Because what you had that day was 2 arm wrestlers at the absolute top of their game with massive respect for one another, and they knew what made a difference in that match and what didn't. And for the casual observer or the people who were emotionally attached to that match shouting things from the crowd, nobody gave a goddamn. What they wanted to see was an arm wrestling match, and those guys wanted to know who was the man that day. And there was tiny little bobbles, and nobody gave up. You never saw Freddie Husbanoff complaining. You never saw John, and both men did it. Just those tiny adjustments when there's nothing in it, there's no intention. It's just everything is flat out. There is no more red line arm wrestling, and that's what everybody in that place could feel. Yeah, mate, that's what everybody could feel, and that's the thing. And when that match was over with, the level of respect between the two lads was ace, that was like the best of arm wrestling encapsulated into
the room celebrated.
Mate.
The room celebrated.
Might be, looking back to the question that was asked me, that might be my favorite that I've seen in person. That was special.
Yeah.
We're talking about the GOAT. You know, there's one match that it's online. I wasn't there live, but it shows like the grit of this guy too, and his making the right adjustments. That one when he makes Yoshi cry.
Right.
On the inside move.
Yeah, when he dives across with the shoulder.
Yeah. After Yoshi had wore his top pressure out, and the way he hit that, he made that 300-pound man cry. You hear it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
You know what I mean? He
every angle.
He almost severed his arm at the elbow.
Yeah. Every single angle, you know, wherever you want to go with anyone at any time. I mean, the fact that the dude sat inside with the almighty Richard Lutkus back in the day, when he was weighing, you know, like 85, 90 kilos, somewhere thereabouts, and he got and he's in a hook with Richard. I mean, oh, come on, will somebody take a breath? What the? Who does that?
Right. John always used to like to challenge himself.
That match with Kanai, it's not that John wanted to have to do that, but he had nothing left up top, so he believed in himself and he did it. That's the scariest. That's when you have the most fear sometimes, is when you're at your greatest. But you have to put it all together. And this guy's a master of putting it all together. Time and place.
He's the king. The absolute king, and yet he's completely everyman. He's the nicest dude you could wish to meet. He's so approachable.
Wait a minute, you just said that about me. You said
you're not that nice. I just love you. Mate, listen. This game's about characters.
Stop.
It's about characters. And if you look around, there are so many individual characters in it, and that's what I love about it. That's what I love about the sport. I come back to Jerry Cadorette all the time, but there's a complex individual.
Pillsbury.
You know? Let's be honest. We're talking about underrated.
Yeah.
Eric.
I need to get going.
You're going to jump off? Mate,
Right,
ladies and gents in the chat, that's the man right there, Eric Roussin, that puts this show together. Awesome effort, mate. Eric, thank you very much.
Have a good day, Eric.
Later.
We're going to roll on for a couple more minutes, guys, and then we'll all jump off for your last 5 or 10 minutes of the show. If you want any questions you want to put into Bob or Cobra, Stephen Pena's come flying in with a super chat 1 week before Mike and Devon, and he's gone Devon 4-2. What score have you got it, Cobra?
I'm not going to give that score yet, but as I said before, if Devon's going to have success, he has to have it early. If he has success, he has to have it while
I would go 4-2 or 5-1 the other way to Michael.
Be interesting. Hey, a little bit of news for you, for everybody in the chat as well. Sunday night, okay, 7 p.m. UK time. We got Larry Wheels coming on the fix.
Nice.
Larry Wheels will be joining us for a fix special on Sunday, this Sunday, 7 p.m. UK time. Okay, so check that out, guys. It'll be interesting to hear from Larry Wheels. He's heading into a big match with Schoolboy. The odds are stacked against him. We've obviously spent a lot of time talking about the main event match. Do you think Larry Wheels can upset Schoolboy?
Yes. I think Larry Wheels is stronger than Schoolboy. He just had no idea what to do with it.
Mm.
And now he has an idea of what to do with it. And I definitely think he has a chance. If I had to put $1 down, I'd probably still put it on Schoolboy, but I wouldn't risk more than $1. I think Larry Wheels can definitely do this.
Mm. Stephen Pena's just come in with another super chat, and he's put, why didn't they restart the match when the strap came undone? I hate to bring it up, but I hate to see it end that way. I'm assuming you're meaning with Jerry and Mike, mate. To be honest, Jerry would tell you himself the match finished how it had to finish. It was within the rules, and there was a lot of money on the line for those two individuals. And they're not doing it for fun. That's what it's all about. They came to make the money, particularly Mike. Yeah. That's what he was there for. And
now I'm going to add a little to that, you know, because I talked to Mike about that. And I said, Mike, I'm just curious. If they would have declared you the winner, the money's in your pocket, and then they would have said, but hey, let's just finish this. Would you have done it? He said, absolutely. Hell yeah.
Yeah, he would.
You know, so Mike was ready to finish that match, but you know, this is Mike's living. This is how he puts food on his table and a house over his head. So he did win that match by the rules, fair and square, and deserved to have the hammer and deserved to get that money. But he'd have finished that match. He would have. Guaranteed.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. You don't want to know. Yeah. That's what we do it for. I mean, interesting one here. We got Ray, Rolly Royce, Slipins in the chat. Rolly, how's it going, Mother Fluffer? Ready for Sunday. Now, Bob, you were saying a minute ago that obviously you think that he knows a lot more how to go about the match with Schoolboy. How much of an influence do you think Ray Rolly Royce has had on that? Obviously, you've spoken about your respect and admiration for the Latvians, particularly Jānis Amelins. You got one of the in the world.
Maybe I don't. Ray, who?
Ray Lipinge, Coach Ray.
Coach Ray.
Oh, sorry, Ray. I don't know how to say your last name appropriately. Oh no, I think he's the reason. Getting stronger in the right areas isn't going to do you any good as a newbie if you don't have someone coach you how to use it in the right areas. And that's what Ray did. And I definitely think Ray's coaching on what to do with this newfound strength and newfound angles that he might have gained when he was there with Michael Todd is definitely going to make this a different match. I mean, at the end of the day, I still think this match is going to come down to hand and wrist. And, you know, his hand and wrist was strong. He just never knew how to use it. Now Larry probably knows how to use it. So we'll see.
Neil, do we have enough time? Can we get Coach Ray in here?
To be honest, mate, we don't. We've got to wrap it up. We've got about 5 minutes.
This is one thing I'm thinking about about the Larry Wills Schoolboy match.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if Coach Ray is he training him now? They're too close now, but
I think they probably stopped table work. But
they've done table work? But have they done battle conditions? Has Larry Wheels been in the moment of running the mock action? Because I don't know if he's in love with the sport enough to let his nerves bother him like they do us. You remember when you were beginning in the sport,
yeah,
how your nerves could screw you out of a tournament more than your arm. So you have to play war a bit before you send a newbie into this kind. We know Larry is used to the lights, but man, when it's mano a mano, when the lights go on in this sport, your nerves can wreak havoc on you and your arm turn to mush.
It's not only that, it's the competitive nature, isn't it?
Sure.
A man who's that much of a competitor, when they haven't had real match, and it's not just real match battle experience, it's red line experience. Yeah. Red line experience is different. It's when we spoke about it earlier on, when there's the Yoshi John situation, when something has gone, what else? Now, without that extensive match experience, that is a problem. And when you're against a guy like Schoolboy, who's a finisher.
He's
And
been in the
somebody who
fight.
can't, yeah, it makes me nervous for Larry. And we're gonna, it'll on Sunday, guys. Remember, you can come on and ask Larry these questions. We're going to pose a lot of these questions to him. We'll dig into Ray's insight on that, because let's be honest, Ray's closer to Larry right now and to understanding where Larry's at than anybody, which is great, a great position to be at. The rest of us are sort of speaking from just watching. But my biggest concern for Larry is not how strong he is. It's how he reacts when he's put in a difficult position, because all of that strength can be poured away. If he makes the wrong move at the wrong time. It'd be absolutely not because of any sort of favoritism in the match, but I'd love to see Larry do well. I'd love to see the guy.
That does not hurt arm wrestling at all if Larry does well.
I would love to see the guy get a result of sorts. I really hope that regardless of the result here, okay, that Larry keeps pouring his enthusiasm into the sport for him as well as for the sport itself, because he's got to. Hopefully, he appreciates the magnitude of the challenge he's taking on, and that he's not taking on a bomb. He's taking on a really dangerous opponent and a big man in Schoolboy. So,
he is big.
Oh, big dude, man.
He is
Yeah,
big.
you wouldn't want the bastard to pop up from under your bed, would you?
Yeah.
Rather him than Lupke's.
That is true, mate.
True. Yeah,
that's true.
You tuck him in. Neil,
Yeah,
you tuck him in.
popping up. No. That will be one rough night, won't it? Jesus Christ. Yeah, we used to have let me tell you now. We had a guy that used to come training, and this guy, he was imposing. When you get some guys that you just look at them, and they're just rough looking, look like they've been, just gnarly bastard. This guy used to come training. He wasn't nowhere near as big as Richard, but he had that same sort of natural, imposing, intimidating character about him. Face was all busted up, rough. Jesus Christ, you should have seen him. He looked like a stuntman's knee. Absolutely grim as hell. And he used to show up, walk up to the table, and I'd see, and he wasn't particularly strong. Wasn't necessarily the strongest lad in the world, but a lot of the time he'd wind himself up, smack himself about, come up looking like he did. And people they were beat before they started arm wrestling. You know what I mean? They were already beat mentally. And that used to teach me things that a lot of the time in any combat sport, it's in the head. If you go up there in the right frame of mind, you can do more than you potentially think you can. It's joining the dots. And I'm really interested to see with Larry whether he's overawed by it, whether he rises to it, and also whether Schoolboy feels pressure, because Schoolboy's young, just a young man. And
there's a lot more pressure on Schoolboy. There's a lot more pressure on Schoolboy in this match. I mean, Schoolboy's got to be the heavy favorite. If he loses, Yep.
Well, not long back, there was a thing that came out from on Mezarenko's channel. And I think they were at one of the big Russian events or Ukrainian events, and they were talking about Schoolboy, asking opinions of people. And he was taking a bit of stick from the arm wrestling community. And I felt that was harsh, because Alex is a young man, and he's a very talented arm wrestler. And people were downing on him a little bit, and I felt bad for the kid. Because he's clearly super passionate about the sport, is extremely good. Has got a big future, and it'll be interesting to see whether he is a little overawed by this. There's a mental game going to go on in Dubai with those guys, with the main event athletes as well. But I think it's overlooked with Larry and Schoolboy, and it's intimidation factor. Oops, we got a super chat just pop up. Chris Gamo. Cobra, you're the man. Chris, thanks for your super chat. He's put, Bob, you're a legend. Neil, how about a short stand-up comedy set with just arm wrestling jokes? You'd crush it, mate. I'm up for that. Let's go.
That's his life, bro. He's already done that.
Mate, thank you very much, Chris. Really appreciate your super chat, mate. Let's have a look at what else I've missed. If I have missed any, I'm now scanning back. And we'll have a look.
How about Daniel Urich? Oh, my.
Venom, mate. Absolute quality, Daniel. What an animal.
Wizard's tits.
The Wizard's it is. Let's have a look here. And Voice of Arm Wrestling, Rolly Ray's just put that was a Ukrainian event. There you go. Rolly Ray's on it.
So
topping up his suntan and enjoying his time over in Dubai. He's got his missus going out there for a bit of a holiday, and then he's going over to Turkey for Engin's East versus West super matches. And there's some good stuff coming in that as well, guys. We've got a really stacked card. So here's one I wanted to throw out to everybody in the chat and just to whet the appetite a little bit. Who would love to see Cobra Rhodes back arm wrestling again in some kind of Legends super match? What about, you know, we started teeing Cobra up with some of the top lads from, like, we got Cobra and Pascal Girard.
Yeah.
Kind of match people may want.
That'd be a time.
I want to see a 4-way super match with Cobra, Dave Patton, Alan Fisher, and Bob Brown.
That'll be some vintage stuff right there.
Let's get them bastards together.
Dave in contact with any of you lads?
Yeah, I talked to Dave a couple months ago. He's still training. He's
getting him on here.
He's
still practicing. Right? The last time I saw him, he was still practicing, once a week, and Junior Hostler and the guys down there.
Junior Hostler. Holy Junior Hostler. Man. Junior's been hot for the last couple of years. He has been training hard and kicking ass and taking names. Good lad.
Hey, Neil, Dave he's got his Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Oh yeah. He's got his school.
Yeah. So he's just choking. Can you just imagine Dave Patton laying a guillotine on you with that back pressure?
Yeah, you won't fancy that, would you? Yeah, that would be good. Pull your head off.
I always say, I played with quite a few MMA kids, and
we've lost your audio, dude. We've lost your audio. You're doing a dam busters on us, yeah. You don't know what happened, but your audio's dropped off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back a bit. There you go.
I've played with a bit with the MMA since UFC 8.
Oh, we lost you again, Cobra.
Yeah. Can you hear me now, honey? What's going on?
I don't know. You sound like you're doing the dam busters. We're just circling around, Captain.
Yeah.
Where's he gone?
I don't know.
He'll pop up any minute. You've not used that battery out, have you? Been on there all day on fake hostel?
No, 100%, Daddy.
Can I just mention it's gone under the radar for most of the show,
but since the Rhodes boys shaved that beard off Bob, he's looking like 30 years old again. What's going on with that?
I know. When I saw him in Hawthorne, he looked all young and stuff.
I know what's going on. I can't frigging do that. It really pisses me off.
I know.
I could shave off everything. I could shave off every hair on my goddamn body, and I still look like an aging fat tortoise. Annoying. He rolls out. Get him. Tell you what. Yeah. What have you done to your sound, Cobra? What's going on? You don't know mine, do you?
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Can you hear me?
No. Well, you can, but it's crap. When you watch the show back, you'll be like, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know.
It might be God telling us we should do it.
Yeah, it might be God telling us we should end the show.
Okay, listen, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, we are going to leave it there because we can't have Cobra. He'll be back on. Let's get you back on for the next episode, mate. But, whoa, just as I say that, flying super chat comes in. Stacey Morgan in the mother fluffing house. Oh, no, they're all coming in. Stacey Morgan, thanks for your super chat, dude. He's put, have we been building up the Devon Larat Smugglers Fund? I have no idea what that is, but Daniel Urich's been building up some fund. I'll tell you right now. And Dan Earthquake has come flying in. Super chat. He hasn't put a question on there just to support the channel. Dan, thank you very much indeed, mate. Really appreciate that. Ladies and gents, before we go, just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's tuned in for the show tonight and has commented in the chat. Really, really appreciate it. We're going to wrap it up there. Just one side note. If you are interested in any of the Fix merchandise, I've been getting a lot of messages through to the channel. Hoods like the one that I'm sporting right here, son. And we've got them in various colours and what have you. I'll put them all in the chat. So anybody who wants anything like that, look in the chat. I'll put the Armwrestling stuff in there as well for those who've messaged. and I'll put some on the community tab. I want to say a massive thank you. Remember, we are on Sunday. We've got Larry Wheels coming on the show with Rolly Royce, Paul, Ryan, just married, Blue Bowen, and myself for the Fix, a special Sunday night, a couple of hours earlier than usual. We're going out at 7 p.m. UK time. I'll put some posts out about that. Before we go, massive thanks, Bob.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank
you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yep.
And
Have a good.
till we see you again,
Yep.
take it easy, peeps.